G'day and welcome to another episode. My name is Destro the Aussie Geek, and today we are looking at the Age of the Primes Onyx Prime. So this is the last of the primes for the time being, as Quintus and Amalgamus don't come out till January next year, and I'm not getting Star Convoy because I don't want it. So this is the last of my current collection. Obviously, I'll have some other videos up in the meantime. But yes, here we have Onyx, the first beast former, with his staff. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it now. The triptych staff, or the triptych masks, because there's three masks, 1, 2, and 3. From what I googled before doing this, we have Foresight, which allows Onyx apparently to see anywhere in place in time, sort of thing. Reminds me very much of I want to say Alchemist. We have Predator, which apparently allows him to know everything of a hunt that he's after, and thus knows how to flawlessly hunt it. And of course, we then have Mornsong, which apparently allows Onyx to see the travel of the spark after death. So I suppose when it's going to the well of souls or whatnot, which apparently in some story he did use it on his fellow primes at one point and realized that all that was waiting was the Allspark. So there's that. But he does look pretty damn good. He has some flaws. I forgot to fold that down. He does have some flaws, and most of it is unfortunately due to his articulation and his joints. But apart from that, he looks pretty damn good. Now, this is not how I usually have Onyx displayed. I usually like to have him in his, let's call it hybrid mode, which is he has technically 3 transformations. He has his robot, hybrid, and his beast mode, which his beast mode has 2 configurations. So he's technically a triple changer. I'm not willing to go as a quadruple changer because realistically the 2 beast mode versions are just very, very, they're very similar. It's just slight variations. All right, so he does have some goodies apart from his staff. If we bring him back here for a moment, he does have this bow. I don't know if it actually has a name or whatnot. I'm just going to call it a bow because there was nothing on the wiki about it. He can hold it using this tab here, which is similar to his other hand, which I'm not actually currently using. If I fold his fingers back far enough, may need to put the light on it. He has this port here. So you can take your bow and you plug that into there, like so. And then what you can do, and it's a bit weird like this. Honestly, I think that tab should have been somewhere else. But if you untab his staff and angle it the right way, you can attach it using this port, and he can look like he's firing it. Very weird like. My problem is, and I can turn the light off. The problem is this detail. I reckon, I don't know. I would have liked if this tab was in his thumb, not his fingers. So that way this detail, or I should say this detail, was shown on a proper side. So I'm not a huge fan of the bow, but it has its alternative purposes. So it's not entirely useless. And we'll put those off put them to the side for the time being. Now, while we're at it, we might as well get into articulation. Close his finger. So his head can't really do a full 360 unless you, I'll look at the camera for a little bit, unless you move his hooves. They technically tab in, even though I can never quite figure out where, but only then can you do a full 360. I keep closing his face mask, which if you push it up too far, you end up with this gap. So just a little bit further down. Not a little bit side to side. I think there is a ball joint, but you have to be real fiddly with it. If you try looking down, he's going to close his face. You can get way back, but that is for his transformation. So you can actually get him, if I can get his mouth back open again, can get him to look up somewhat without those transformations kicking in. All right, I'm going to leave those up there, and I'm also going to fold his wings back just so we can get some other ones done. So arms can do with full 360, providing the wings are out of the way. Arms, even though it's technically transformation, has at least on mine, a very tight butterfly joint, so you can get it somewhat forward. You can get back too, but that is more for one of his alt modes, and you have to literally get these out of the way if you want to tilt it back. All right, the first of my many issues with my joints. So you can flip this up to get it out of the way, and the arm can get up that far. This will pop off. I've had it happen a few times. Now, here's my first issue. If you ever look back here, I'm going to have to put the light back on again. Here you have a open bicep, completely open. This should have been screwed shut. Now, I am semi-considering that if DNA Designs ever does an upgrade kit for this guy, I want a parts filler for that back. Because the amount of times this arm has popped out on me, I have lost track of time, and I usually only buy and display. So the fact that it comes out so easy is ridiculous. Now, that could be because it maybe has a play feature similar to Cup and all that, where it's like, well, he can fall apart and you can put him back together. And I don't want my Onyx to fall apart. I want him to be able to just do his joints. So if we flip up here, oh, hang on, I'm not finished with the arms yet. So we have technically an elbow bicep rotation. We have a slightly ratcheted elbow that gets you that far. And doing that is usually what pops out that joint. Wrist rotation, which can kind of do a full 360 until you get to this part with the thumb. So you will not get it full 360, not that it really needs to. Thumb don't move. We have a pin knuckle. And unfortunately, the fingers don't shut completely either. I'm not a fan of that. Now, that is possibly due to this tabbing point, which seems to impact with the thumb. But I don't think it would have made too much more different either. All right, get these out of the way. Lift up the front skirt and the back skirt. And we have a upper hip rotation, like so. We can, leg goes up that far. Leg goes back that far. Leg goes out that far. And I will get to that. Actually, I'll do it now. So you may notice, if you're looking very carefully, I'll put the light back on again, my screw holes are at the front. These are stupidly loose on mine, and due to the fact that I have him in his hybrid mode, they give way very, very easily. So I had a plan before recording this that I was going to take that off, undo this, put a bit of nail polish in there to give it a bit of stiffness. Now, I don't trust where the seams are, especially on the back. So I have a distinct feeling maybe it's got a bit of adhesive on it, or when they put it together. And I don't trust that I'm not going to break it by trying to nail polish it. Normally, not a problem. So, strangely enough, I actually rotated the hip around because it's got a full rotation. So if I bring it here, there's a rotation there and there. So you can get it to turn around. And after I tightened the screw and then rotated the leg, I have found that my outwards is a bit more tighter than it was. So just beware, if that might be a solution for you. Honestly, that was stupid that this doesn't. All right, let me say this. There's not enough ratchets in this, at least soft ratchets. You have a stupidly strong ratchet in here. You have a little bit of a ratchet in here. There should have been a ratchet in his hips, even just a soft one to give him a bit more friction. Right now, it's just friction tightness. That's it. So it's nowhere near strong enough, but it should have had a ratchet in there. There's more than a few locations. Oops, sorry. that this figure should have had a ratchet in. Anyway, so leg gets up that far. We have an upper thigh rotation. We have a knee here that is reasonably loose here until you get to there and it locks into place. You then can go a little bit further and you get up to that far. I don't know if you call this an ankle. I don't know my animal anatomy, so I don't know. But you can go that far back, and it seems like there's a tab there that doesn't want to go any further. I think it's more of a stopper. There is a lock point there, and you can, if I get my leg back up, which I'm going to need it later for transformation, you can bring it in that far. Like so. So I'm just going to send all that back for the time being. He has a serious ankle tilt with nice cloven hooves. I do like that. These do also have a locking point. Also, only 5mm peg posts apart from the tip of the staff or the handle connection for the staff. So, yeah. Not too bad. It's just the joints have a little bit of an issue. Also, if you really wanted to, you could fold this to give the arm a little bit more of an up and down. But if the hooves are in the way, that's going to be a problem. All right, so there is those ones, and we'll just fold them back. Just sort of slip under. As for the wings, I might as well do them now, but we'll get more into them later on. They can go in that far and out that far. You have one joint up here that gets your wings out that far, and it does have a little bit of a wiggle move. So not a lot, but a little bit. So there we go. All right, let's get down to hybrid mode. I'm just going to fold them back for now. All right, let's see if I don't pop nothing off, which I don't trust that hand's not going to do it. And I realized I'd actually popped this hoof off at one point, and because I was wondering why it was so much longer. But I fixed it before the review. So, all right, you're going to drop the mask. So he has his little piece here. We're going to flip up here. We're going to flip up here. We should be able to get that around without too much trouble, but I'm going to bring... It's very awkward finding somewhere to actually put your fingers for the shoulders. So we want to bring this down best we can, rotate it as need be. Might have to raise those arms like so. And we're not quite done here yet. So what we're going to do is, I'm just trying to think for a second. I don't think we need that rotation. We will need, I think, is it this rotation? All right, so we have a rotation here because we need to flip this all up. So, do I need to? I'll unplug that just in case, but I don't think I need to. All right, so I need to get, where are you? It does sort of tab in, but it also doesn't. So the back, all this is going to slide back like so, and we want to bring our legs down. Once again, it doesn't really have a locking point. So it just sort of sits there. So it's just not even friction. So that can go down again. I'm going to bring these down. I'm just trying to, yeah, doesn't matter which way. I'm just trying to figure out where the pin's sitting. So we want to bring these around. Now we are going to play a little bit of silly buggers. So I'm going to pop that back where it was. So I think that's actually pretty much your locking point. Maybe, kinda, sorta. All right. So what we want to do is, I'm just trying to think if we have to actually, I'm just going to lock those knees into place. Don't think, oh, you're supposed to fold these in, but I'm not going to do it. So what I will do is I'm just going to angle his feet back a little bit, like so. Now, normally I prefer to have one of these up, sort of very horse-like, which now that I've fiddle to those hips a little bit is a little better. It's just a matter of obviously articulating him, but that's neither here nor there. And we'll just leave that where it was. We'll just keep him on all four, like so. We can bring our arms down, bring them back, and I had a feeling I'm just going to pop that shoulder plate, like so. You can then bring your wings out and fold them out wherever is most comfortable for you. And there is Onyx in his, what I'm calling, hybrid mode. I don't think the instructions actually give you a... I've got it here next to me just for curiosity. Might be something on the back. I'm just going to call it a hybrid mode. Does look good. You can improve this a tiny bit if you really want to. What you can do is you can take your bow, fold that in half. Now you would think that this tab goes into here. It actually goes up the top. So if we lift the head a little bit, plug that into, try to plug that into there, in there. Right there, and bring that down. It gives him a tail for his beast mode. So, well, his hybrid mode. Sorry, hybrid mode. Just going to try and fish that head back under there. You are, I think, in some cases you're supposed to bring that head back up, but I'm not going to. But yeah, he looks pretty good in his hybrid mode. Like I said, it's without fiddling with those hips a little bit, it does make trying to do dynamic poses awkward. And I haven't tried to find any more of my pegs or stuff to try and aid me in it. So, yeah, he does look pretty good. You know, dragon, centaur, thingamajig. Probably... I was going to say you could probably do that there to fill that in, because this does become very empty. So just beware. Now we'll do the first size comparison. And I'm going to do two. I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. So there he is with MP10. So he's about the top of Prime's grill. And I don't know how this is going to work, because he's not exactly in a vehicle mode. But there he is with Windblade. Got to have Windblade in there. Can't not have Windblade in there. All right, so articulation's pretty much all the same that we've already done before. So there's no really reason to go through it again. All right, so let's get him down to beast mode. Like I said, there's two versions of it, but there's not much different. So we'll start with one, and then one will actually help us get into transformation for the other. So we're going to leave the tail there. We are once again going to flip this up a little bit and fold this out. We're going to push the head all the way back into the little gap. And we're going to lift this up because I need to rotate this all the way back in again. So get that hinge gone, and we'll just get that between his legs. It does feel like, once again, there's a locking point, but not really. So this is going to come up and it's going to cover his face. Then you have a tab here. Oh, probably going to have to mess with my wings a little bit. There's a port here. There is a tab underneath the dragon head, and that goes into there. It's kind of tight, not really. Then what we want to do is we're going to bring our arms down. And this is where we're going to use this joint here to bring them in. Once again, trying to find where you can actually put your fingers without popping the shoulders off or something like that. So I want to rotate this forward. We're going to rotate these very gorilla style. I'm also going to fold these back. I don't know if you really want to, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's how it's supposed to be. So that tabs all the way back there, and that comes in. Well, not tabs in, but slightly ratchets in, like so. And then we can play silly buggers with the hooves to get them a little bit shorter, so they actually allow him to stand on 6 legs instead of 4. And of course, then you're going to have to mess around with it until you find exactly how you want it. So I don't think I want it all the way up. Oh, maybe I do. You'll have to fiddle with it and figure it out yourself. All right. So we're going to probably lift these up to give it a bit of a slightly different look. And there is, actually, can I get that in tighter? Yep, I can. And I think I just popped that off. Yeah, I think I had to lift them a little bit. Anyway, so get those angled like that. And there is Onyx in his beast mode. Whatever you want to call it. Do you want to call it a griffin? Do you want to call it a dragon? Any other mythological names you can think of? Go ahead and go nuts and do that. Now, we can, beg my pardon, we can take the spear, unplug that. There is your other 5mm port. Plug that into there. And on the top here, we have another peg. And that can go on there. And that gives him another tail. Now, the only additional articulation in this is, of course, the head. So it can rotate full 360. It can sort of go side to side. I'm guessing there's a ball joint in there somewhere. It can look down, look not really up unless you want to use the transformation joint. And you can open your mouth quite wide. I'm not quite sure if that is a tongue or a tab, honestly. I think a bit of both. I suppose if you wanted to, I suppose you could make it look like he's got the bow in his mouth, sort of Voltron style. Although the head, you cannot tell me, is not a remold of, and I know I'm going to guess wrong here. I want to say Transmetal 2 Megatron was the dragon, was it? Because you had the T-Rex, the Hover T-Rex, and then the dragon. So yeah, I want to say Transmetal 2. Yeah, he looks pretty good. Very beasty as for sure. Now, as for the alternative, which what you want to do, and this will be a little fiddly, but just get rid of that for now. We need to put the arms back where they were. So we're going to end up pulling these out. So once again, it's a matter of figuring out where you put your fingers so things don't pop off. And considering these shoulders are very tight, also not risk breaking things. All right, so I'm going to articulate those like that. Now you do have these grooves, which actually go, if I can position it right, into this little notch. So this is where things is going to get interesting, because I got to figure out where to put and how to put, which sounds weird. All right, so I'm going to extend that. I'm going to lift his wings up as far as I can get them. I might rotate his shoulder just to get out of the way. So bring this, actually I might need to bring it down if it'll let me. I bring that down. It's just a matter of also trying to get this hinge where you want it so you can actually rotate it back there. Get that in there, flip that back out again, and bring that down just like it was in robot mode. And we'll do the same thing on this side. We'll bring that in, bring it down a bit. Get this around the right way, hopefully. Extend all that. Oh, that's one thing I didn't say. You've got joints there and there. Although you probably figured that out by now. Make sure that goes into its groove somewhat. Fold the arm out, bring that down. They don't tab in, they just lock in. No, hang on, let me rephrase that. They don't tab in, they don't lock in, they just sit there. That sounds better. And then we can position his arms, and we can do, once again, the gorilla stance. And there is, whoops, there is Onyx in his alternative beast mode. I do think you could probably get a sort of a gargoyle look out of this if you angle things just right. Obviously, I think his tail's going to be in the way, so I'm going to take his tail off just to see how this goes. Take that off. The biggest issue being the balance. So you're going to have to fiddle with things. I don't think I can kind of get my head down somewhat. I just don't think I have enough balance in my legs to actually get it reasonably positioned without it falling over. Anywho, something to play around with if that interests you. All right, let's get him back into his robot mode, and we'll see if we still get away with not popping anything off. All right, we'll start with his legs. We are going to fold the ankle, whatever, back as far as it'll go, and bring it into the knee as far as that'll go. Out, in, down. Now, we don't have to do too much with the other upper arms, because we've already got this in place. We want to untab the head, and then the horns are going to just go underneath here, so just fold it forward a bit and then down. Would be nice if it actually went into here, but sadly it does not. We can then, now admittedly you could actually use that as a mask, kinda, weirdly enough. Just a very weird up-looking mask. All right, so you have 4 tabs, 1, 2, 3, 4 ports and 4 tabs. So that tabs into there. Then you can fish his head out, try to get your finger behind. There's no locking point or anything. I'm going to rotate my hands now while I have the chance. You can, of course, leave him the way he is. I'm going to fold my wings as well, just to get them locked behind. But you want to reach in and just put your finger just in the right spot so you can get his head up. And there is Onyx back in his robot mode. Like I said, it's the lack of ratchets in it, and the fact that some of the joints, like the hands, the horse legs, have nothing to stop them from popping out. And honestly, if you are someone who plays with your Transformers religiously, they are going to wear out, and you're going to have to put some nail polish or something in there to give it more, more grip, more friction. So take that for what it is worth. All right, let me arm this guy up a little bit, and then we'll get down to final size comparisons. Also, while I'm trying to arm him up, I do try to get this piece into his into the gap here, which I think is actually intentional. That way it doesn't move so much. It's nice and tight. You can obviously angle things then, close your fingers up a little bit, and if you really need to and you just find that the pole's not moving anywhere, just rotate the masks a little bit, and you're usually pretty damn spot on. Now that I've got those legs how I want them, now I can fiddle with them a bit. Stand, man, straight. There we go. All right, so final size comparisons. We'll bring him back a little bit. Here he is. I just realized I didn't do size comparisons. Well, considering that beast mode and hybrid mode weren't too different, you can guess. So there he is with MP10, and I have that really weirdly angled. So, and I also think I need to tighten MP's fist or something for his gun because it's looking a little bit droopy. All right, I'm going to do this one at a time because I have too many of these guys to be able to do the family shot now. So I'm going to try try that again. I'm going to try 2 together to do the size comparisons. So we'll start with the Warrior 2. Here he is with Primer. And Vector. So there's those 2. And then we'll do, providing my stand wants to stand. Actually, we'll probably do 3 for this. There he is with Alchemist. Where is he? Here he is with A3. Yes, I currently have him displayed with his parts. And of course, my Cronus. So there's them together. And, whoops. Stand, my Cronus. Stand. That peg's going wonky. Anyway. And last but not least, here he is with Megatronus and Solus. I'll put him over here. I always prefer Solus standing with Megatronus. So as you can see, he's, give or take, if you go by the top of the head, he's a little bit taller than Megatronus is, which I actually do quite dig that. So I don't mind that Megatronus and Onyx are about the same size. They're pretty much the equal powerhouses. So, of course, Solus being Solus, she's going to be small. So I was going to take him away. I'm like, you know what? Let's just leave him there. So as I said, we don't have Amalgamus yet. We don't have Quintus yet. They're technically, as a recording of this, about 2 months away. No idea when we're getting Nexus, which I have heard apparently is going to be a leader class. I would have preferred a commander class or possibly Titan class, but that's just my opinion. I think that's it. Like I said, I'm not getting Star Convoy. I'm not getting him. That's going too far into the Japanese fandom and all that, so I'm going to leave that out. So there we go. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. I promise you it will not hurt my feelings. Subscribe, ring that bell, leave me a comment. And apart from that, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.